Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
Hello world, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is the show where I talk to fellow actors about crazy audition stories, and we have a great time remembering the hardships that we've all encountered in this crazy, wonderful life that we have chosen as artists. And hey, if you like it, make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. You can also follow us on social media. Those links are down there in those show notes that are on your phone. And we post some really fun graphics, and you get to see some exclusive video clips from the interview on our IGTV. So go to our Instagram, hit that follow button, and check out the videos. Today on the show, we have Shannon Dang. She is on the brand new hit series on CW, Kung Fu, and we have a really heartfelt and enlightening talk. She tells me about her audition process for Kung Fu and another great audition story. So here is my conversation with Shannon Dang.
Uh-oh. Technology.
Oh, man. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Miss Shannon Dang.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's nice to finally have a little heat in LA. Are you in Los Angeles or are you in New York?
I am.
Okay.
No, I'm in Los Angeles right now. And I know it's so silly. Like, why am I wearing this jacket? But I thought it would add a nice pop of color. But in here, there's AC, so it's justified.
Exactly. I know. It's nice. I feel like I might want to go for a swim here soon, which is cool.
Oh.
Like, is it really summer again?
I know. It's kind of one of the... you love the heat, and then when it gets too hot, you're like, can it please be fall already? Like, I want my boots.
Totally. So everybody knows you right now as an incredible character on the CW's Kung Fu, which is so remarkable. I love the show, and I think your character is just so absolutely fun. It's so nice to see that type of representation on CW. Obviously, it's something that should have been done several years earlier, but I'm glad we're here now. And I'm glad that there's a show out there like Kung Fu.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say it's like a surreal experience. Everything happened so fast. We started this whole pilot process back in February 2020. And at the time, I remember getting the audition sides and I was like, whoa. Like, they're looking for a cast full of Asians. You mean not just one of us? And so, like, right away, I was like, I have to be part of this project. And then everything that's been happening this year, it only became more apparent that this show is coming at an impeccable time right now. And so it's been surreal. It's been very rewarding. And me, along with my cast, we're happy to have this project out there and give representation and a glimpse into the Asian American perspective. It's been really nice.
And I think it's obviously so important. It's obviously very needed. And it must feel, I don't know, it must feel so cool to be able to be a part of something that feels so big.
You said that perfectly. Yes, I think that's also another reason why our cast gets along so well, and there's this foundation of family and support, because we all know that this is bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly like what I was saying when we got the audition and they're casting or full a cast full of Asians, and even during the testing process when you walk in and everyone is Asian, you're like, whoa, okay, like all of a sudden there was no competition. It was just like, this is such an amazing thing. Whoever they cast, like, we're just happy that this is out there, that they're creating a project like this. So it's been really special.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry a little bit.
Oh my goodness. Well, good thing maybe no one will see it because
It's
this is audio.
Yeah, it's fine. It's cool. But I also read, and this is kind of a fun connection, that your grandfather was in the original Kung Fu. Say what?
Yes, I know. It's so funny because I didn't find out till the week we premiered. Okay,
Stop
so
it.
back in the
Stop
day, I know, right? So back in the day, my great grandfather and his family were one of the first families in Los Angeles, Chinatown. So my grandpa was just a little boy, but back in the day when Hollywood was looking for Asian or Chinese people to be in their movies, and back then they weren't casting Asian people to be principal actors unless you were martial artists.
Right.
So it was all background people. So that's how my grandpa got started out. And then fast forward, he was in Kung Fu, didn't tell me until the week of our premiere when a family member sent me a screenshot of his photo next to David Carradine. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, I was in Kung Fu. And I was like, why didn't you tell us? He goes, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But he's so proud that the reimagining is here now with an Asian female lead and an predominantly Asian American cast. And for him to see that 180 and that serendipitous moment of his granddaughter now in the cast, it's so cool. And he watches every Wednesday night. He's so proud.
Oh my gosh, Grandpa holding the tea.
Holding out on us.
So your grandfather was in the industry. How did you get started? Is it something you grew up around and decided that, hey, I need to do this too? Or what was the deciding factor for you?
So I think I was more kind of brought into it. When you're younger, you don't know what you want to do or what you like. Because my grandpa and then my grandma and then it trickled down into my mom and dad and their like cousins, relatives. They would just do fun stuff in Chinatown whenever Hollywood was making movies or whatever. They could just be there and everything. So then when they had us, me and like my brother and my cousins, the younger generation, they all wanted us to go into the entertainment business, which is pretty rare for Asian American culture. Usually there's that typical, pushing you towards education and school, lawyer, doctor, right. Whatever that may be. But ever since I was little, I remember I was being taken on auditions and I didn't know they were auditions. I just thought it was called an interview. And you just go there starting out in commercials and they'd be like, like oatmeal or like run here and what's your name? And then I would book all this work and I didn't know it was work. But right. I grew up loving dance and performing, and my mom and dad always put me in performing arts camps and dance studios, and my dad took me to all my auditions. So I kind of just grew up loving performing. I was a professional dancer for a while. I did 3 seasons. Yeah, it is my first love. I did 3 seasons dancing with the Los Angeles Clippers for the NBA, and then 3 seasons with the NFL Los Angeles Rams. All of this while I was kind of sort of deciding to get back into acting once I graduated college, because for a while I just kind of stopped because, you get older and you're like self-conscious. Wait, I don't like rejection. Yeah. I don't think this is what I want to do. So I took a step. Then I went back to dancing, and then I graduated college and I was like, I want to go back. And then fast forward, here I am.
Wow. So when you graduated college, were you living in LA still? Did you go to college in LA or were you living somewhere else?
I went to college, UC Riverside. So it's like about 45 minutes east of downtown. I know. I was like, northeast, south. I don't know my
Which way?
directions. Yeah,
Me
somewhere
neither.
over
Okay.
there.
I am not a compass. That's what my phone is for.
Right. You're not alone. So I was going to school, and that's when I was dancing. So I would drive all the way from Riverside to
Ooh.
the Staples Center in downtown and do that. But it was when I studied abroad my senior year and realized, wow, what am I going to do after? And I think it was, I'll never forget, like riding on a train through Germany and seeing like the fields and just so many different lifestyles of happiness and a way of living. And I was like, wait, there's not just one way, one path. I could be happy doing anything. It's like what you make of it. And I was like, well, why don't I just do what I want and take that risk? I thought I was going to go into my degree was in marketing business. I thought I was going to do that and or real estate. 180. So that's when I decided I'm just going to go for it.
It sounds though like you had built that inner faith that you were missing when you were in college, when you had taken the break from acting. You'd built that inner faith again of saying, I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'm going to try.
Yes. At that point, it was like, well, life's too short. I'm going to try it. And if not, thankfully, my parents and grandparents, all my family and friends are still in Los Angeles. So I feel like I had a lot of support to like, yes, I'm going to live at my parents' house for a while and milk that free rent until they kick me out. And so, that also helped me pursue my acting career because I don't know how I would have paid rent and then also, pursued that and ended up like quote making it. I don't know. It's so difficult, but my family and friends have been everything.
That is so wonderful to hear. I know my family is in LA too, and that's always been such a plus as an actor, as an artist, because so many people move from somewhere else in the country and they don't have that familial support system, and it's so difficult. So to have that, and especially to have your entire family there and people who are supportive of the arts is like freaking like striking gold.
Oh, I feel so lucky. Not many people can say that. And it warms my heart and makes this process and this journey even that much more rewarding, I would say. It's for them. It's for my family. I always tell them, thank you, Mom and Dad, for not putting me on the streets and letting me live my dreams.
Oh my God, I love it. I love that so much. So you come back to LA, doing the thing. What is like the first project that you booked that you think like, oh hey, I think I'm on the right track. I think I'm gonna get there.
Ooh, okay. First project, right track. I think it was my first role on the Romanoffs. And I remember I was opposite Diane Lane.
Oh,
and I remember she
amazing.
You're telling me. She was as beautiful as ever and so classy and gracious. And I literally remember all day thinking, I can't believe I'm here and like speaking to you. And like, I can't believe I'm acting with you right now. And I know I don't need. Okay, so the director and producer was Matthew Weiner. And I remember meeting him and he was like, hey, Shannon, come here. He pulled me aside in between takes and he was like, are you trained? And I was thinking, what do you mean trained? And then I realized maybe classically trained. And I was like, I go to acting classes. Yes. And he goes, let me tell you something. You're going to be a TV star one day. And I literally, my mouth dropped and I was like, you are telling me this? Oh my gosh. I like had nothing to say. I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I didn't want to be like one of those, like, oh, look, she's going to cry because she's so, so amateur. And like, thank you so much. I'm like fangirling over here inside, dying, melting. But I just remember taking that away. And I think that was in 2018 where I was like, whoa, like this feels right. Being here, being seen by someone who is so experienced. He was the showrunner, director, everything for the Romanovs. And I was just like, wow, I think I'm on the right path. This feels so right. And to get that validation and to be seen in that moment, it was a very big keep going for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you use those words too, to be seen, because it's just like, as actors, sure, we're seen by so many people all the time. We send in tapes, we do all these things, we're seen, but it's like to actually be told that it's working, that what you're doing is working, is like it's just worth so much, because you just never know when you're a creative person. It's like you don't know that what you're doing is working, is meaningful. You can't see your own face when you're acting. And to be told that, to be seen in that way, is just like, oh my gosh, it's the best feeling.
I will never forget that. It was just such a high. And like you said, like to be seen, you're right. I'm getting chills and emotion just thinking and reliving that, telling that story for you.
You can shop from anywhere doing pretty much anything. You might shop while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast. And however you shop, we all know and love the thrill of the hunt. But do you also know how to get the thrill of the best deals? Because Rakuten shoppers do. With Rakuten, they get the deals they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Sephora, Nike, and even Expedia if you're looking to get some travel in. And getting cash back doesn't mean you have to miss out on sales, because those can just be stacked right on top. It's easy to use and based on a simple idea. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back through PayPal or check. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten. As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But we also sell merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell and grow at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. They have an all-in-one e-commerce platform and in-person POS system, so wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. Shopify has allowed us to share something tangible with the podcast community we've built here, selling our beanies, sweatshirts, and mugs to fans of our shows without taking up too much time from all the other work we do to bring you even more great content. And it's not just us. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify is also the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/REALM now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
I love that though. It's such a special it's a special thing to be told that you're doing good. It really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the Romanovs, and then when did you do Sorry for Your Loss? Did you do that after or before?
Sorry for Your Loss was after.
So there you go. He was right.
But and I'll never forget Kelly. I met Kelly Marie Tran, and she was so sweet. And I think the first day I met her, and it was in between takes, and she goes, "You know what? you're the second Asian female that they've hired on the show. Like, finally. Because at the time, it just wasn't happening. And so to get that from her, I already had looked up to her and I was like, way to go. You know, anytime I see an Asian actress, I'm like, go sis, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing it for us all. And so for her to also see and like, felt like she reached out a hand to me, it meant so much.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that. I feel like this is a very emotional episode, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh, I know. Lots of feels, all the feels.
All the feels.
All the
So
feels.
I mean, obviously you've been doing a lot of things. You've been working on a lot of great, amazing shows, and now you have Kung Fu. But there has to have been some ones leading up to this that were not always a great outcome. And on this show, we like to share those stories. So, do you have any audition stories you would like to share with the audience?
Okay. I have two. One of them was probably my most traumatic audition story. And then I can go into my Kung Fu audition story. So it'll be a nice little balance. So
It's an emotional roller coaster. Everybody be ready.
It is. It is. I don't even know if it's that traumatic, but I think it's, I still get goosebumps thinking, oh my God, oh my God. So it was, I don't even remember. It might've been back in like 2017 when I had first started really auditioning. And it was for, I won't say what show, but it was for something for ABC, and it was a young adult drama series, you know, take your pick. And it was for a recurring guest, I believe. And like, that was like my first recurring guest star audition. I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, this is a big deal. So of course there's like three audition scenes, you know, each of them shows a different side of the character. And then the last scene is this dramatic one where by the end of the scene, my character is crying about, I don't even remember what it was, but I remember being like, oh my gosh, okay, like, how am I supposed to, like, in an audition or in person, like, you got one shot, you know, to make that happen. And then, you know, self-tape, it's like, okay, you'll warm it up. You'll film that third scene over and over again until you feel like you can hit that. But at the time, I didn't really have the experience to get my emotions at that point when I needed it to be. Fast forward, you know, in Kung Fu, I'm crying like every episode, and those like are authentic, and like I think I got that under my belt. But at the time, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I had actor friends that were like, "There's this thing called a tear stick," and I was like, "A tear stick? What's that?" No. And apparently, they'd say it's like menthol, but for actors, and you just put it in your eyes and then you'll just start to cry. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Why have I not heard of this? And I was like, well, how do you do it? Like, in the audition room, like, they're watching you. And they're like, you just put a little bit on your like sides in the staple. And then when it comes that time, when you have to do that scene, you know, and they tell you to take a moment, you just, you know, just quickly put it in your eyes real quick and pretend you're doing something else. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds easy. So I buy a tear stick. Never tried it before. Warning, no. Don't do that. Test this stuff out. So I have a tear stick, and I in the waiting room, I like put a little bit on my stapler and my sides. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be so good. Like, I've got this. So I do my first two scenes. I was like, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Who knows? Maybe not. Then it's my third scene, and it's the emotional one. And it's just crying by the end. You know, you don't start out emotional. It's just a completely different turn for the 180. And then it's third scene, and the casting director is like, okay, so whenever you're ready. And I'm so nonchalant. I'm like, okay, will you just give me a sec? And then I turn around. So from the back, it looks like I'm just doing this, like, actor prepares, like, oh, here I go. But they don't know that I'm like, have the menthol in my fingertip and like poking my eye, getting it ready. And I'm like, okay, I don't know when I'm supposed to tear up, but I just like turn around and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. But then the camera something happens and she's like, oh, wait, can you give me a second? And so she has to like, I don't know whether it stopped recording or it ran out of space or something, but she was like, oh, dang it. And then she like takes the camera, she's fixing it. Meanwhile, I'm standing there with the sides in my hands and my eyes start watering profusely. Again, I didn't practice this. And it just started tearing waterworks out of my eyes. And I haven't even started the freaking scene yet. And I'm like, wait, no. And I start like looking up, trying to fan my eyes and looking dramatic as heck. And I like see the casting director. She's still fiddling with the camera. I was like, oh my God, can we please just start already? Because I can't hold this anymore. So we finally start and like she sees me full on like waterworks already going. I'm not even making like any emotional crying like dialogue yet. I'm just doing the scene. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like I was so in my head because I was like, I'm not supposed to cry yet. I'm not supposed to cry yet. And here I am, waterworks bawling. So like that whole scene was probably like the longest 45 seconds of my entire life. Can I just stop? And can you just tell me I'm good to go home now? So I just cry the entire scene and I just stop. And like at the end of the scene, I'm just like, thank you. And I'm like real crying at that point because I'm just so mortified. And I leave. And needless to say, I have never used a tear stick after that, ever. Because I was like, I don't, never again.
Wow. That, I've never even heard of a tear stick. So this is news to me as well. And wow,
yeah, it's not, don't underestimate it. I hear sometimes it doesn't work for people though. Like I've asked other people, like, have you used a tear stick before? They're like, it doesn't work on me. Like somehow like people's tear ducts are different. I don't know. But for Kung Fu, I cry all the time. And I will say that I do not use a tear stick. Those are authentic feelings and emotions that I let, pour out. Because
heck yeah.
I'm a little
but I
better.
mean, at least you learned your lesson. And if you're going to use it, try it out beforehand, as we now know.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. It's just wasn't worth it.
Honestly, though, that is a flippin' hysterical audition story.
Yep. Yeah, that's one I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Wow. Okay, and then you said you wanted to share your Kung Fu audition story too, so give it to us.
That one's a little less, that's a little more anticlimactic, but yes, I actually originally auditioned for the lead, Nikki Shen, which is played by Olivia Lang. Love her. And at the time, it was like Kung Fu, and I was like, oh gosh, this means I need to know martial arts. And I was like, dang it, I don't. I'm a dancer, but And then it says, oh, must be fluent in Mandarin. And I was like, I might be like elementary, but I had a Mandarin tutor in case I ever needed to have dialogue translated. So I get it translated and I'm like, great, I can do this. And, worst comes to worst, I practice all the time. And like, I have pretty good inflections, I would say, because I did study it. But like, I'm pretty much don't know what I'm saying at this point. So I go in and I was like, it's okay. Like the casting director, Jennifer Cooper, love her, probably doesn't understand Mandarin either. So she won't notice the difference. So Shannon, you just have to own it. So I'll never forget, I go in and in the opening scene for the first audition scene is this like monologue of Mandarin. And she's like stoic and it's in the pilot. If you see it, it's the part where she's like looking over the mountains with her shifu and it's like supposed to be serene. And I start saying the Mandarin and something just flips in my head where I was like, I have lost it. I do not know what comes next. So I just start saying random things in like Mandarin that I know. Like I probably said like, hello, my name is Shannon. I like to dance and like I like green tea, like random Mandarin that I was pulling out of my butt because I forgot what I was supposed to say. And I just remember being like, if I just
my God.
own this part, she'll never notice. And I kept clocking the casting director, seeing if like she noticed. And she was like totally straight faced, like very intrigued in what I was saying. I was like, oh, she doesn't know anything. It's okay. But I remember just like stopping mid Mandarin, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to stop here. And then we followed the rest of the scene in English. But that was when she was like, on second thought, why don't you try her sister for the role of Althea? Come back next week. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, because that was like the worst audition ever. And like this character Althea here, I can totally see myself as. And then, yes, the rest is history. It was super fun.
That's awesome. It's not very often that that casting directors do that, where they're like, you know what, you're not good for this one, but I do want to see you in this role, so come back. It's like it's a major, get to be able to do that in the room, because obviously you showed her something that she liked.
Yes, I had auditioned for her multiple times before for different projects, which is another reason why I also would like to say, like, just keep going to those auditions. Even if like casting directors, like you're like, oh, why am I going into this room again? They never book me on anything. Do it, because you never know, like each time they see you there's something in mind for the future. And so like, this is like the fifth time I had gone in for this room. And so to be seen and be like, wow, okay, but like, let's try this. It just felt like all of a sudden everything in the past, like, had been for a reason. Every time I had gone into that room, it meant something.
Wow. That's so cool. And now you have the role and it's going. And are you guys still filming right now, or are you on hiatus?
We are on hiatus. It was like, this process has been so, I would say, like, what is this? An emotional roller coaster, yet so fast. Yeah, like we started in February. So that was February 2020 when we had first been auditioning for this pilot. And then right away when we like went to Canada real quick, like I had to flip my life for the pilot. And I remember it was the fourth day of filming when COVID, that's another thing. So COVID was kind of happening during the audition process, but it was kind of in a distance. People weren't really talking about it in the US, and maybe it wasn't so serious. Not gonna lie, I think I had COVID during the audition process, the callbacks, because I was deathly sick. By the time it was like the third round of network testing, I was like, I could barely walk. I know at the time I thought it was just a flu, and I was like high off of Benadryl at my network test, because I was like, I was chills, achy, everything.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know how I pulled it off. And I remember asking my reps, I was like, should I tell them that I'm sick? And then they're like, no, it's fine. Usually people don't like to hear. Yeah, people don't like to hear that you're sick, because they don't want you coming into the room and infesting all of them. But at the time it was like already testing process. So I was like, well, I gotta suck it up. So I like was on like Advil, Benadryl, like high on life. So I felt great. But then in the last testing process, like, I swear I like left the room and I like collapsed. I was like, oh my God, thank God it's over. And now the rest is up to God. Like I did the best that I could. And then that's when I booked it. But fast forward March, we were 4 days of filming, and then we got shut down. It was Friday the 13th. Of course, all days, Friday the 13th, we get a call saying, production, we have to stop filming due to COVID. Everyone is going to go home for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, air quotes, and be back. We'll be back, no problem. I remember crying on the phone, being like, of course, my biggest job yet. And of course, there's a global pandemic and I have to go home because we're being shut down. It's never going to happen. So then you just get flown back before the borders cross. And then for all of March, all the way to throughout the summer, our cast was just in group texts, just figuring out, okay, so when's it going to happen? We didn't have a full pilot to show for upfronts. Everything was just on pause, and miraculously, they decided to greenlight our show off 4 days of filming, because all we did was give them a teaser, and we were like, whoa, this is real. And then fast forward, we come back in September 2020, finish the pilot, and then do 13 episodes, wrap in April. end of April. And I believe we aired April 7th and then wrapped April 28th. So we premiered and wrapped, and I moved out all in 3 weeks. It was like the most whirlwind thing ever. And it was like full of press and like everyone, there was so much stuff going on. I feel like I'm finally, like, as you can hear it in my voice, I'm like still coming down from all the whirlwind. So now I'm on hiatus.
Now you're on hiatus. Have you guys been told whether or not you're being picked up for a second season yet?
Yes, we are coming back for season 2. Yeah. Yes. We're so excited. We have great ratings, and I think what did they say about our premiere? It was like the highest viewed ratings for a Wednesday night show on the CW in over 7 years. So that was exciting. Wow. I know. And so it's funny because usually CW, the fans are great, but it's for a certain demographic. Like my mom and my grandparents would never watch shows on the CW.
Right.
And so, but because it's an Asian American cast and like this is one of the very first of its kind, there's so much support coming from the entire community that I think that's why we're just like, wow, like this is surreal. We can't believe people and multi-generational families are watching our show and loving it and seeing themselves in it. And so it's been so rewarding and surreal all at the same time.
That is so exciting, and I am so stoked that you guys got a season 2, and everyone needs to be watching it because I think it's a super important show that's going to go down in the history books for sure.
No, thank you. One can hope.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up with all of your things?
Well, I'm mainly on Instagram at Shannon Dang. I do dabble in the Twitter, but that's a whole nother game at the Twitter at Shannon D. And yeah, I should probably get back into TikTok, but like this is just a crazy world out there. And I was like, I'm not tech savvy enough for this, for sure.
It's a whole thing. I'm trying to figure out how you find what's trending. I don't know how you do that, but we'll figure it out one day, I guess.
It just plays forever and ever, and then next thing you know, it's like been an hour on TikTok, and you're like, wait, what? Yeah. Where did my day go?
Went out the window. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Shannon. It was a pleasure to talk to you and get to know you, and I'm so excited to see what you do next because you're clearly on the track to stardom. So I'm stoked to know you. Whenever you want to come back, come on back.
Jillian, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been so fun.
Yay. Thank you again to Shannon Dang for coming on the show and chatting it up with me. And thank you to everybody who is listening. I am so enjoying doing this show and meeting new people. And it's just been a true blessing and a great honor. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to tell your friends about the podcast and leave us some love wherever you're listening to it. And as always, thanks for coming in.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.